In today's topic, we are going to talk about Agentforce vibes. So we are going to segment this entire session in or this topic in two sessions. One is we are having it today, and other will be having on 23rd of November, I think. So there is a second part of this series. So what we are going to cover today is first. So we will be covering the basic environment setup until basic environment setup. And after that, what we will be doing is in second session we will be doing more ever hands-on. So because getting into Agentforce vibe, we'll see like by which other two ways we can have it, and I will talk about the actual developers approach, how we should be dealing with this entire overall setup. So let's get started and let me share my screen. Let me know once my screen is visible. You can just drop a message in the chat box and I'll get to know. So let me set some sort of intro first, even before getting into the agenda for today. So when we talk about Agentforce vibes, it is having some sort of history. So first, Salesforce launched this Agentforce for developers. So even before that, Agentforce was launched. Then we see the Agentforce for developers, and then we saw the Dev Agent. So if you see the title of the event, still says Dev Agent because these sessions were scheduled even before Agentforce vibes got launched. So around roughly a month back, I was in San Francisco. More than 1.5 months, maybe around 14th of October. I was in San Francisco. I was in Dreamforce, so it was a very first day of Dreamforce when I saw this Agentforce vibes, and these sessions were even scheduled before that. So that was kind of really awesome. So even before getting into Agentforce, let's talk about a previous one. What was Dev Agents and Agentforce? Agentforce, almost all of you now knows about what is Agentforce because everyone is talking about Agentforce since past 1 year, and we are like most of us are like Agentforce specialist, certified, and all that. Now this is something next step of this. Whereas Agentforce was more ever like a kind of a chat bot which we can put across different channels, whether it's a web channel or whether it's a kind of a WhatsApp or other messaging channel. It can be WhatsApp. It can be a custom messaging channels as well. Slack is also one of the pretty good example over here. So that was kind of Agentforce. Now we just thought like Salesforce just thought like, okay, we have Agentforce for customers, end users. Now let's have Agentforce for developers as well. So with the help of ChatGPT, so mostly developers who are working on the different sort of codes, mainly Apex and LWC. How we used to do that, almost all the developers, when the era of AI, generative AI, like it started long back in 2022, it was in boom. So all the developers were taking help of AI, mainly ChatGPT, Gemini, Cloud Ape, and all these LLM providers or Gen AI based platforms. So we developers, we know that we all have done that. Okay, so we are writing a code, somehow it is like giving some error, and we are sharing the code with our piece of code with that AI chatbot and asking, okay, what's wrong in this? And it is telling us, okay, what's wrong in this? Then copy paste from there to here, and we were doing all that stuff. Then after that, Agentforce for developer came to the picture. So we got a kind of extension in the VS Code itself at right hand side that can review our kind of code. It can generate. So it was all started with the test class generation, I believe, and it used to generate the test classes for our different Apex classes and all. Then after that, it was good until that. It was even on the basis of prompt what you're giving. Okay, you want to create a kind of a method that create a record of this XYZ object. So write a method for me. Then it used to write that method, and we can copy that method from that left hand sidebar, then paste it into the main coding area. Now, with the help of this, or with the evolution of this Agentforce vibes, it gives it that VS Code a way more power than what we can even imagine. What's the difference between this Dev agent and Agentforce vibes? So dev agent was mainly just across like what the prompt you will give. On that basis, you are able to generate that code, and you have to copy paste that code into that editor. Agentforce Vibes is way beyond that because now it has the context of your org. Earlier, whether it's a dev agent or it's a your traditional chat gpt route, it doesn't know the data model architecture of your org. If you're dealing with any custom implementation, I remember like we have to give all the api names, field api names to the inside our prompt, so that the output will make sure they're utilizing the proper apis. Sometimes what used to happen is where the code is right but something is missing wrong, going wrong, and mostly it was related to api names because that ai was assuming the api names. Sometimes our nomenclature, our terminologies are different, but what ai is giving, it's entirely different. But with the help of this Agentforce Vibes, it is tightly integrated with the platform. It is within that, and it has the context of our implementation, whether it's a kind of our data model, where what we are doing and all. But it's not just limited to that. So, moreover, like there are mm, lots of different differences. Let's talk about one by one. One is it's having kind of a context of your environment, like it knows the code and all that stuff, metadata, it can play directly with your metadata. Second thing is, like before, you don't need to copy paste data from left side to right side, and again it can directly interact with your file system. Okay. Third major difference is it can actually execute the commands on behalf of you. For example, you can give it as a task, or you can plan the task, you can give it a task, and then it can perform that task including deployment as well. So I seen this hands-on in Dreamforce as well. So what happens is like they were having a kind of different what we call it as hands-on sections, where we had this hands-on where they give like a typical trailhead type of module. Okay, you have to do this module was entirely different. All we were doing was just giving prompts, and believe me, in three different stages of giving prompts, we created entire to-do application within the Salesforce just by giving prompts to the system. Now how these things are working is, so we'll see going further in this entire session series, which is developed again divided into two sections, session 1 and session 2. Sorry for that. Session 1, which we are having right now, we will be setting up playground, our playground. So when we talk about playground for agent force vibes, it's not just like virtual playground that we get from that developer tools. We are getting we are getting a deep dive into this so that we can have that setup within our system. Okay, so that's what we will be starting from today onwards. So that was pretty much kind of intro. Now let's start talking about prerequisite. Before that, let's talk about agenda, what I'm going to do. So we just finished intro. Now I'll go through the prerequisite, then we'll talk about, so prerequisite, okay, what do we need even before proceeding further. Then we'll talk about basic setup, how to do that, the different softwares that we need to install within our system, how to do that basic setup, and after having that basic setup, how we can finally set up the environment, and how we can be in position to about to start with the entire system of agent force wide. Okay, so with this kind of agenda, let's move further to the prerequisite. What do we need over here? Of course, this Agent Force Wipe, the session series that we will be having over here, will be working moreover locally. You might have seen those screenshot where when we click on that gear icon, we get different options. Okay, the famous option was developer console that that we used a lot. But apart from that, there is kind of one more option, Agent Force Wipes. Once you click on that, it will open a kind of a code builder for you, which is again another product. It's a kind of cloud-based code editor. You can see. So on that over there, you can use as well cloud-based code editor. But I know that like most of the developers still prefer using locally based, locally hosted VS Code setup because it gives them that flexibility of using that environment and all. And it's of course it's a free of cost, right? Unlike Code Builder, Code Builder is having some sort of session limitation and all that stuff. But we prefer kind of making the things locally, right? So in this, For making that code builder stuff, we don't need to have this type of setup. We can directly sign up for the org, we can go to the Agentforce webs, and we can start using it. But moreover, I will be talking in this session for the basic setup that you can have within your system, and how we can do that. So let's get started. For prerequisites, as it's a local thing that we have to do, you must be having your own laptop, and almost everyone is having laptop. It can be either Mac or Windows system. That is a kind of course, basic prerequisite that we should be having. Second thing is, you should be having at least basic knowledge of Salesforce platform. So I won't recommend it for the people who are just starting with the Salesforce as an ecosystem, or as a platform. So I won't recommend it for the people who don't know Salesforce but they directly want to get into Agentforce vibes. It's not something for them yet. So I recommend, in prerequisite, you should be knowing basics of the platform as a platform, how the Salesforce is, what we call it as admin level of skills. You should be familiar with objects, custom object, standard object, custom object. What is the record page, page layouts, flows. Then Apex LWC, I'll say still fine, because having basic platform knowledge is important. Apex and LWC, we will create or write the codes using Agentforce vibes. So these two are basic prerequisite that I'm expecting even before going further to this Agentforce vibes. Remember, having basic Salesforce knowledge is really important before you getting into this swipe section. Now let's start talking about basic setup. So as we're just dealing with environment setup, this session is going to be very like a brief and short, not like, might not be like 1 full hour unless we have any question answer or any hurdles. But this is definitely going to be an important foundation before we go to our next session, that is scheduled for, I think, 23rd of November, right? So if you are going for like if you're planning to attend the 23rd of November that the session on 23rd November, so make sure you're attending this session and doing this step before even appearing for the next session, so that you will able to do that hands-on and you'll able to relate the things that we are going to do over here. So getting back to our next point, that is getting to the next point, it's our basic setup, and it all starts with the VS Code. It was the very first screen that I shared. So this is very first software that we need to be installed within our system. So you can go to code.visualstudio.com, or you can just Google download VS Code, and you will get that. I'm also sending the links in the chat window, so that you can copy paste these links. So by default, this VS Code, this VS Code site will recommend you the relevant software package for your system. So right now I'm on Mac, so that's why it's showing download for Mac OS. Depending on your OS, you can download relevant version of this. Now there are two things. Okay, so while installing any software in the system, it gives us two options, mainly even for Windows as well. Okay, so there are two types of package. One is we can install as an admin, and other package is the package we can use without installation. So a piece of advice I'll say, like, do install it as an admin. That will give you flexibility for sure. I have seen issues in the setup where we are not installing it, or we are downloading a kind of extracted package and having that shortcut of VS Code, upon clicking which it's opening. The common problems that we see with that type of setup is it gives some issues with the extensions, as it's not installed using admin permissions. It lacks some of the access to the some of the file system. That's why not all the extensions that we are going to install may work properly. So it's advisable, if you are installing this VS Code, make sure you are installing it in a kind of with the admin rights, or at least your full user rights. So with this, you will there will be less chances you will be facing any issues. I've seen people spending a lot of time troubleshooting the errors and issues with the VS Code, specifically related to extensions. And most common problem is the way they have installed it. So make sure you are installing it as a system properly. You are installing it, not just you are launching it from another package by creating a shortcut window or something for that. Then next important thing is the Salesforce CLI. I've seen people getting confused again between Salesforce CLI and extensions. We'll get to extensions and then we will talk about what is how people get confused. I have seen many people getting confused between Salesforce CLI and extensions. So there are two things: Salesforce extension pack that we install within VS Code. We don't need to install it as a package. It's a part of VS Code. It's like having a store, like how we do have like App Store or Play Store within our phone. Similarly, we have that extension store within VS Code, and that's where I was telling you, if you are installing VS Code within a system context, VS Code will able to download those extensions seamlessly directly within VS Code, and it will work smoothly. Whereas Salesforce CLI is kind of installable package that you need to download and install within your system, just like VS Code. Like how you are installing VS Code, this is a separate package. Salesforce CLI come from Salesforce. So if you see salesforce.com, this is Salesforce CLI. Visual Studio is an entirely different entity. There is a no relation between Visual Studio and Salesforce. Visual Studio is barely a code editor. So this is a code editor that we can use for any platform, any technologies. It has no direct relation with the Salesforce. So it's kind of one of the medium, one of the channel to facilitate our code writing and the thing that we are going to do, right? So Salesforce CLI is different. So make sure you are installing Salesforce CLI as well. Once you install Salesforce CLI, then on the top of that, the extension will work. Now let's also, we are talking about extension. Let's also talk about how they look like. So let me open my Visual Studio Code. So it will look something like this. And when we talk about extensions, so sorry, these are containers. So you can click on this icon. So this is nothing but extensions. So all you need to do is, once you open the VS Code after your installation, the you'll see, first of all you'll see this welcome window, and you'll see all these icons over here. You might not be able to see all of these icons. I'm able to see that because I'm using lots of different extensions. So that's why in your first installation you may see only first four of this, and you might not see all these extensions. So you have to click on this box icon, which is extensions, and then search for Salesforce extension pack. Okay, sorry for my. Okay, and you can see I have two results mainly. So one is Salesforce extension pack. This is widely used, and another one is Salesforce extension pack expanded. You can see. So what is this extension pack? So when you click on this icon over here, it is like opening a app store or extension store within the Salesforce. Sorry, within the VS Code, and it is fetching all the extensions that are useful to us when we will start coding. Both of these packs are pack of extension. It means it combines lots of different extensions within one pack. You make a single click and it will install all of these extensions. So whether it's Apex related, Apex Open API specification, Agentforce Vibe, see that is the extension which is already part of this. Agentforce CLI integration and all. Why these extensions are required? So as I mentioned, VS Code as a kind of a core, it's not anything by Salesforce. It's a merely a code editor. Now, in order to give this code editor capabilities to deal with the Salesforce, and it's a kind of with the Salesforce org, we are like using this extensions. We are like creating a bridge over here, right? Now, when what happens is these extensions make use of this Salesforce CLI and execute some commands. So as we say, like both of these are separate. This is your machine, this is your asset laptop, and this is your Salesforce org. Now you are writing code in your machine, but you want to deploy that code in your org. There has to be a kind of medium between your asset and between that Salesforce org. So that bridge is nothing but filled up by this Salesforce CLI and VS Code. Okay, so it's a collaborative work of Salesforce CLI and the extension of VS Code, I'll say rather, because this is VS Code, this is org. So extensions of that extension pack of VS Code plus Salesforce CLI is making that bridge. Let's see which specific extension we are talking about over here. So it contains lots of different extensions. So you can see over here Salesforce CLI integration. This is a specific extension that is creating bridge between your VS Code and your org. So when we talk about what is CLI? It's nothing but command line interface. So we can open terminal and we can type the commands. So this will be available once you install this CLI, but that's not kind of so user friendly. We used to put the commands like way long back, like we were doing everything on the basis of commands. For anything, put command, open terminal, put commands. So in VS Code, you'll see like there will be a terminal over here. I can open this terminal, click on new terminal. You can see this is terminal. So I can even type commands from here. If I type SF, so it will give me all the details of that command. So Salesforce CLI is nothing but Salesforce command line interface. If I type SF over here, it will give me all the details, what I can do, what is the version, what is the usage, how can I use SF, and these are nothing but topics. What are topics? I need to type SF, and then I need to make put any of these commands, and you can go through the documentation of this. Now, ideally, what we need to do is we have to put commands for everything, right? SF org login, then SF, like we have to, in case we have to fetch metadata, version, we have to check anything. But this specific CLI integration makes our job easy by converting our normal language, like natural language, to command language. For example, let's say I want to create a project. So that is again entirely different thing. So with the help of Salesforce metadata, you need to understand what metadata is and how we can create a project within the Salesforce. I'll explain you this thing very quickly, because these are nothing but base of our entire further sessions on Agentforce vibes. So that's why I'm spending time on this. So whenever you create anything in the Salesforce as a part of configuration, whether you create any custom object, or you create any record page, or you create any flow, in backend, Salesforce stores metadata out of it. So it has to be stored somewhere, right? So we call it as a metadata. So whatever UI related, configuration related things you are doing, that is nothing but metadata. The record values that you are storing, that is the data that we can see in the list views, that we can query from maybe Salesforce inspector or developer console. Apart from that, whatever you're configuring within the platform, as I mentioned, flows or record pages, page layouts, custom objects, so many things, whatever you have, validation rules. So all of that is having a kind of stored as a part of metadata. Now just think about it. You have one org, you have configured everything in this one single org. Then now you need to deploy or copy the changes or configurations that you have done in one org to other org. How you can do that? There are different ways of deployment, we call it as. If those org are related to each other, we can make use of change sets. So change sets you might have used. So all you can do is club all the components together, make a change set, and deploy that change set to the next org. What if both orgs are entirely unrelated? So that's where what we do is extract the metadata of that specific component, create that SFDX project, and then deploy that component to the next org. Okay, so you can check. There are lots of videos on YouTube how we can extract that metadata, how we can do all that stuff. I have prepared one course dedicatedly on that. So you can go to Google and search for Boost Salesforce Development with the VS Code, SFDX, CLI, and GitHub. You'll get that course on Udemy. You can reach out to me. I can give you a kind of a coupon code to access that course free of cost. So in that course, I have explained everything about what is this SFDX project, how you can set up this SFDX CLI, how you can set up the GitHub, why it is important. So it will be a kickstart to your Salesforce developer journey from coding perspective, right? Now getting back to this point, so what it does is, so here we have to type every command manually, but with the help of this extension, it actually kind of simulate those commands. So for example, for creating as a project with manifest, all I can do is I just go create, and it's all done. We'll do that. We'll deal with that once we cover this part. So this is extension pack. So this is another prerequisite. Sorry, basic setup requirement. So what we are doing is basic setup. So first one was VS Code, VS Code installation that you can download from the site that I shared with you. Then second one is you need to install Salesforce CLI. I'll also put the link to the Salesforce CLI over here. Third one that we saw was the extensions that you need. So Salesforce extension pack, you can either use expanded version. There is no difference in expanded version. They just have these three different extensions which are apart from Salesforce, right? So you can see here it's 13 pack of 13 extensions. This is pack of 16 extensions. That is the only difference. In three, they have added three nice extensions. So Prettier is a kind of a code formatter. So when we talk write code, right? So it's all about giving indentations and all. So this extension, you can select all, right click, format code. It will make your code prettier, as name suggests. Then Apex Log Analyzer, it's another good extension that developers uses whenever any Apex code is lengthy and we have to it has complicated process, or in case of troubleshooting, if you are getting some errors, whether it's a you know uh, you're using more than 100 SQL queries. So if you want to see like how it is exceeding beyond 100, at that time you can debug line by line, and it gives a nice level of analysis. So this is also nice extension, Apex Log Analyzer. So this XML. So why this extension is important is because all the metadata that we are talking about is in form of XML. So that is one of the important extension. So directly you can go and install this Salesforce extension pack, which is expanded version. Then next important thing that you will need is org, of course, and you can sign up for Agentforce Developer Edition org, so that you will get by default the things which are enabled with Agentforce and all. So I have given that link over here. All you need to do is just go and sign up for that org. I'll be doing it right here in front of you. I'll put all of the details over here, and let me put my personal email over here and show you everything one by one. Make sure you are putting right email over here. S16. Okay, and I agree. Not robot. Crosswalks. All right. Verify. Sign me up. And trust me, unlike your Trailhead org, this one you'll get pretty quick. Let me check my email. So sometimes I've seen issues. So what happens is many people complain like when they're using the badges and all, when they sign up for the new org, sometimes it takes time for them to get the org. But here I already got the org credentials. Let me bring it on over here so you can see. Just 0 minutes ago, I already received it. So let's reset the password. Let's start setting up the org first. Let me quickly set up the password and come back here. All right, change password. Let me bring this over here, and that's how you will sign up for this developer edition. Now we have our VS Code ready, we have our org ready. Now let's integrate our VS Code with our org. So how can we do that? For that, we first need to start with the creation of SFDX project. So for that, what we can do? Again, two ways. Either we can write command over here, for which you need to go to SFCLI, Salesforce CLI website, the one that from where we downloaded it from. Then you need to go to the documentation section. Then you need to search for how to authorize org or how to log in, then you need to then you need to follow the instructions. That is one way. Second way, directly do the chat gpt. And third and most easiest way, what you can do is you can just press command shift p command shift p or control shift p. That will open kind of terminal like this, or command prompt like this. There is another way. What you can do is you can there is a way over here. So you can yeah, command palette. See, you can click on view. So let's suppose you can click on view and then you can click on command palette. It will open again. So very first step over here is creating a project with manifest. Manifest we'll talk about later, but having it with manifest is really going to be important. Just simply create a standard project. Now name this project. So I'm going to name this project as Agentforce Vibes. Then hit enter. The moment you hit enter, it will open the where you want to keep it. So you can just choose the correct folders. So I have a proper folder system where I put in Salesforce. I created a different folder named as org. So I can I can locate that folder and I can create that project over there itself. So if I want to show you in a specific finder, I mean like that, let me show you over here. So you can see in documents, Salesforce, orgs, you can see Agentforce Vibes. Now this folder is created automatically and I can see all of these files created automatically. That's not something I created. And now on left hand side, you can see everything over here. Now if you see in output section, it automatically created, executed the command prompt for you, and it created all these files for you. And now what's the next step? Now we have created, we have VS Code. We have set up kind of place from where we will play. Now we have Salesforce org. Now let's establish that connection. If you see, if you have installed this extensions and all, on upon creation of SFDX project, bottom left corner you will see no default org set, because you have this all these Salesforce related things, metadata and all, but where to put the things once it's done? So for that you have to authorize your org, the org that you have created. So just click on no default org set, and then what you can do, you can authorize a new org. It means you can connect a new org to your Salesforce VS Code instance. So the way I was talking, you have VS Code over here, but you want to make changes in your org. We have to connect these two things somehow. So you connect those your org with your VS Code by authorizing it. You have to log in your org through your VS Code with the help of Salesforce CLI, and with one click, the click that I made. So either you can authorize your new org, or you can see the list of different orgs that I do have over here. So these are my other orgs. So simply I'll click on authorize org over here, and our org was like the one developer edition org, which are mostly production org. So for this I need to choose the production. But let's say if you're working for a client, and for working for a client and you need to authorize a sandbox, it has to be a sandbox. Okay. Otherwise, if your client is using custom URL, then it should be a custom login URL. So depending on that, in this case, R is a production org. Now we have to give a name to this org. Okay. Now I'm going to because as I mentioned, you can have authorize multiple orgs with your VS Code, right? So each org should be having kind of meaningful name. Okay, don't put test 1, test 2, test 3. Otherwise you won't you remember with which org you are working on. So for this is specific Agentforce Vibes org that I'll be working with. So I'll name it as Agentforce Vibes. Okay, the moment I hit enter, then it will execute a command. So I can see this page has been automatically opened in my other window actually. And over here you can see, let me minimize this, like let me make it like this. See, so Salesforce org management, it's running. So it's running because this page has been opened. So let me log in with a different name, and let me also check my username so that I can log in. So Yeah, I got my username. Let me paste my username over here. Let me put the password. And let me click on login. So see, this thing is still say this, and it will ask for whether to allow. Just click on allow, and you can see authentication successful. Just look at this command. So yes, you can now close this browser tab or window. Let's close this, and now very soon, see, you can see agent for swipes has been connected. Just wait for maybe a minute or so. Sometimes it takes time to show over here. Sometimes it happens very quickly, so it depends. So let's give some time to it. And now let's assume that this see, you'll see like authorize an org successfully ran. So it means this org has been connected now. Now I can do anything with this org. Now let's suppose you have multiple orgs. You can just simply switch. So you're working on your personal org as well as your customers org. You can switch with one click. Click over here, then choose any other org, and it will be switched. That's it. Okay. Now our connection is established. This is our VS Code, this is our org, and that connection has been established with the default org. Now, whatever I'll be doing from this page will be deployed in our org upon like my confirmation. When I say like deploy, then it will get deployed. Now let's understand more about this specific SFDX project. The things I was talking about, you can see all the folders over here. Applications, Aura, classes, flexi pages, layouts, LWC. You can see everything. There is a org browser kind of things as well over here. So let me see. I think this is org browser. If you click over here, you can see the metadata of your entire org over here. So let's say I need to check any LWC components metadata. I can click on this org browser over here, go to Lightning Web Components. So let's see over here, Lightning message channels, Lightning Web Components, expand this, and okay, as this is a very fresh org, no Lightning Web Components are available, but you can create one directly from here as well. Let's see if you have any Apex classes available. No, because this is a very fresh org. So that's how once we create a kind of see custom objects, you can see all these objects metadata is available over here. By the way, in Salesforce, even standard objects are also comes under, when it comes to metadata, it comes under custom objects folder, and you can see everything under that object. So see, for this account object, these are the metadata of the fields, different fields that we'll be having. Even custom fields also it's fetching up. And if you want to see like how it looks like, I can either fetch this specific file over here. All you need to do is go over here and click on this fetch metadata. So it will retrieve that source from the org. So it is retrieving that metadata. You can go back to your file system again. You can see object account, and inside this you can see all the fields. So these are nothing but metadata of the fields. So let's assume this is your field. So this is one of the custom field. This is the name of the field. Okay, this is label of the field. How can we change the label of a custom field in the Salesforce? Either you can go through the UI, change the label over here, or you can change the metadata itself over here, and then right click, and there is option to deploy this source to org, and this will be also changed in your org once it's deployed. So that's the power of metadata that we'll be having over here. So this is kind of high level structure of how your metadata looks like. Now let's jump to the next important part, after which we can conclude our session. That is nothing but having an interface of Agentforce vibes. Okay, so when you open this very first time, so you can see over here, this is the icon. So we know like how we installed this was from extension pack. We installed Salesforce extension pack. We got this extension named as Agentforce Vibes. Once this is installed, we will get icon like this that says Agentforce Vibes. When you open this for very first time, it will show you like no active MCP servers are there. Okay, we'll see like what is MCP server and how it works like in next session. But once you enable it, so I enabled it last time when I started using it. So as of now, the moment I opened SFDX project, it automatically enabled this an MCP server. Okay, and so this is going to be kind of our interface for Agentforce vibes. So we in coming session we'll see like what we have to do, how we can do the things and all. The main important thing is you have to link your org at any cost. If you don't have logged in your org, this option won't work at all. Okay, second thing, you remember I was talking about dev agent. Okay, the dev agent, then after dev agent we got this agent force vibes. So now this dev agent is moved to the like kind of a left hand side, where we can ask about our code, we can add the context, we can ask about the code, we can maybe try to optimize but not directly modifying it. But this agent force vibes is kind of powerful than that, because it can directly update your files, it can directly deploy your files from here, make the changes. If it is facing any issues, errors in metadata, it will resolve that by itself, and again it will attempt deployment. So that's the kind of power, and all happens with this on the basis of this MCP servers and this SFCLI that we have installed, that is used to deploy the components on your org, right? So this is kind of if you are doing until this for next session, then it would be really handy. It's going to be handy for you, because if you're doing next session side by side, you don't need to spend again another set of time. You can directly start using it after that single session. Trust me, I have seen people building like literally small apps within few prompts. If you ask me, in Dreamforce, we built a to-do application along with the UI in Salesforce. So we created to-do app. So just think about it. What it takes to create a to-do app? Maybe a custom object to store that to do things and all with the different statuses and all. Second thing is, of course, for a backend I'll need Apex class. For UI I'll need LWC component. And so at very basic level we'll need these things. So just with the help of few prompts, I first created kind of a UI, how it should look like, then a kind of a form to create a new to do thing. Then we created full phased UI, from where like we can have different phases like propose, to do, in progress, done. Then Apex class to support all these things and movement, and of course like object metadata to hold that data, right? So with the help of like a few prompts, what I did is we created kind of the object was there, I think, but I think we will able to create as well. We'll see in coming session. So we wrote that, we built that UI, we built that backend, we stitched it together, backend and front end. We put that on an application page, on an app page. Okay, so yeah, that's where I said like you should be having a prerequisite of basic Salesforce knowledge when. Because when you do something, we'll use some terminologies like putting it on app page. So you should be knowing what is an app page, what is app in Salesforce, right? So that's why that is one of the prerequisites. So we built a kind of application, to do application that we created, and we put on app page. The last stage was testing that application. That's it. Before that, we haven't even looked at whether code, Apex, UI, nothing. UI, we just told it like build a nice Salesforce branded UI and all, and it will do it, and we'll see that in action for sure in next session. So until then, make sure you are having all the setup. Hope you have made all the notes what we need. So to summarize, I'll again I'll summarize the session, so that if you have not created notes, you can put the things at high level. So of course we started with the intro. We talked about prerequisite, having computer or your own laptop asset. It can be anything, Mac or Windows. Then having basic knowledge of Salesforce, that is one of the prerequisite. Then as a part of basic setup, you have to install VS Code with admin rights, recommended. Then SFCLI, Salesforce CLI, you have to install it again if possible. Admin right, I think it has to be installed with admin right. Then after Salesforce CLI, you have to install extensions. Salesforce extension pack, the one that I shown you over here, Salesforce extension pack. Then you need a kind of a fresh org. Having a fresh org is like, it will be a good thing. Then what after that, what we did is we created SFDX project with one single command. We created SFDX project. We put it in a specific folder so that we can organize all of our different org at one place. Then we authenticated our org. So we logged in to the org. So it will be connecting our VS Code with our Salesforce ecosystem. Salesforce org. And after that, we also installed, or it was already coming up with the Salesforce extension pack, this Agentforce vibes. So until here, our basic setup part is done. So make sure you are completing all this basic setup part until our next session. And then, okay, then with this, I'd like to conclude today's session. See you in next session. Until then, try all these things. Maybe you can also try white coding the things, and we'll see actual hands-on with white coding, how we can build the application with just few prompts. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a great day ahead. Happy weekend, and see you in the next session. Thank you so much.